is, right, you find out your ARV, your after repair value, subtract from that whatever costs are associated with it, right, your rehab costs, and then you allot about 10% toward, either your hard money costs, your staging, photographers, agent fees, closing costs. You have about 10% of the ARV set aside for that. And then after that, you want to be at about 10% on top of all that is what you want your profit margin to be, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So again, to summarize it again, ARV, so total end purchase price. After that, you have your 10% of the fees we just talked about. And then you have minus whatever you purchased the house for. And then after everything's said and done, a good deal for you is 10% at that point. Hi guys, I'm Terry Bailey, and I'm on a journey to learn about everything real estate. Join us in this video while we dive into our next topic. Welcome back. I'm excited for this video. We're going to be chatting with my good friend, Alec Burbidge. He and I have done a couple of flips together, and I'm excited for him to dive deep and go over his story, what he does, how he analyzes flips, and overall how to, not just make it a profitable experience, but more than anything, hedge your bets so it's not a bad setup. So Alec, let's jump into it. How did you get involved in flipping? How'd you get started on that game?
So I started in the construction industry. I was working for some family as a project manager, building townhomes and condos up in Park City, and got my general contractor's license and decided that I wanted to try something else. So I went over to the flipping side of things, which is completely different than new construction, and been doing that for a little over a year now.
Cool. And how's it been?
It's been an experience. It's been awesome. There's a lot of freedom, and it's kill what you eat. So if you can find deals and you're good at motivating yourself and not having to be motivated by others, then it's great.
Yeah.
If not, it's rough.
That's for sure. And I'm not sure if you know this. I don't know if I know this, but of the folks who start flipping, who try to flip, what percentage would you say actually do well?
I would actually say, at least from the folks that I know, the majority of people that start flipping actually do pretty well. It's a pretty solid barrier of entry. Buying a house isn't like buying a car. It takes a lot more. So after you get past that initial barrier of entry, I feel like people generally do very well. Also, people that are flipping houses or wanting to flip houses are generally pretty motivated people. So maybe that helps as well. Yeah.
So in your experience, more people who start it continue to do it than folks who start it and just lose their shirt and back out. Is that right?
Yeah, I think if you can get your first deal done, even if you don't make a ton of money or even if you lose a little bit of money, you're a lot more likely to keep on going and make a lot of money on your second or third.
Awesome. So. Well, let's talk about the process. What is, steps to flipping from beginning to end?
So you're obviously going to want a house to flip. That can be the trickiest part depending on the market you're in. And in this market, it's definitely tricky. So it helps to have a good real estate agent that will help you find good deals. Terry helps us find a lot of our deals, and then navigate the process from having a general contractor walk it, making sure that you're going to make money, having funds lined up to purchase the home and rehab the home, and then having a good idea of what it's going to sell for on the backside as well. So
cool. And those are all things you need to know before you buy the house, right?
Yeah.
Or should you find them out
probably
halfway through?
Yeah, probably before you start looking, you should have a good idea, and we can go over some of the tools that we use to identify properties and then flip them.
Cool. Well, let's go into that real quick. What's some of the criteria that you look for when you're qualifying? Hey, is this a deal? Is this not a deal? I know yours pretty well, but let's jump on you explaining that.
Sure. So when you're looking for a deal, it can be tricky knowing what the after repair value or the value after you fix it up is going to be. This is where it helps a lot to have an agent. If you're not an agent, you're going to want to find an agent or a couple different agents to work with to both find the deals and then know what it's worth after you fix it up. Find good comps if you don't have access to the MLS. Those are all very helpful things that a real estate agent can help you do besides helping you find a property. So I would say find an agent.
Yeah, find an agent, and as an agent, I'll say find out whatever that criteria is.
Sure.
Right. So yours, if you don't mind me divulging,
go ahead.
Is right. You find out your ARV, your after repair value, subtract from that whatever costs are associated with it, right? Your rehab costs, and then you allot about 10% toward, either your hard money costs, your staging, photographers, agent fees, closing costs. You have about 10% of the ARV set aside for that. And then after that, you want to be at about 10% on top of all that is what you want your profit margin to be, correct?
Correct. Yep.
So again, to summarize it again, ARV, so total end purchase price. After that, you have your 10% of the fees we just talked about. And then you have minus whatever you purchased the house for. And then after everything's said and done, a good deal for you is 10% at that point, correct?
Yeah, so we'll subtract that 20%, and then in addition to that, we're going to minus our rehab costs as well. So that adds up very quickly. And if you were to do quick math and just say, okay, well, I'm going to sell a house for this, I'm going to take that and minus my rehab cost and my purchase price, and then that's how much I'll make. It doesn't really work like that with all of the fees that you discussed. So if you basically take 80% of the after repair value and then subtract your rehab costs, that gives us the highest amount that we will pay, because we do want that 10% profit margin. So
very cool. So here's another quick question. In our market today, what is the current going rate for hard money and what money costs?
So hard money, what he's talking about is a specific type of financing that basically there's groups of hard money lenders or private lenders that will lend money at a pretty high rate. And that's changed historically from what that is. But today, generally you'll find money at 2 points or 2% of the total purchase price, and then 12% monthly. So if you think about like your home loan, most people are right around 3% interest right now. And when you're using other people's cash to flip homes, you're going to be paying 12. So it's a lot higher, puts the fire under you to get your flips done very quickly. And if you don't, it will eat you alive. So
100%. Here's another quick question that I'm sure some folks will have. For hard money, are you finding hard money people just for the initial purchase and then you're using your own money for the rehab? Or are you finding that there's lenders who will rent on or who will loan on the whole project?
Yeah, good question. It depends, and it also on the lender, and then depends on your experience as well. So some lenders, what they'll do is like 75% of the purchase price, and then you come up with the rehab costs. Some lenders will do 90% of the purchase price. Some lenders will do 100% of the purchase price. And then it also depends on how good of a deal it is. But generally, when you're starting, you can expect anywhere from 75 to 80% of the purchase price will be covered by hard money, and then you will cover the rest, as well as the rehab cost.
Okay, wow. And so for you, where you're at, if you don't mind me asking, what is it that you're generally seeing lenders approving you for in terms of LTV, right? Loan to value ratios.
Sure. So for us, they generally will cover 100% of the purchase price. And that I feel like that has to do with our experience as well as us finding very good deals. A lot of people will go below that 10% profit margin and they're okay hitting 5 to 7, right in there, and sometimes less. But we stay at a 10% profit margin, so that allows for a large margin of error. And I think our lenders see that and like that. So
Great. Well, let's talk about margin of error. And I think you talked about having, your contractor, whoever's going to be overseeing the project.
sure.
You talked about getting them involved. What is it that you're seeing on that end of it? So I know you pretty well, but for most folks, are you seeing, hey, we've got our guy and we're going to let him do his thing? Are you seeing, a lot of flippers have to babysit that person? I mean, let's talk about the contractor side a little bit.
Yeah, the contractor side is huge. Obviously, I feel like when you hear about horror flipping stories, 99% of the time it has to do with the contractor. So there are a lot of great contractors and there's a lot of bad contractors. We have an awesome group of contractors that we use. We use a couple different ones, but I think a couple things to point out when you're finding a general contractor that can help you find a good contractor is, number one, call their references, ask for references in the first place, and then call them. Number two, if you don't know where to start, there's a lot of helpful Facebook groups that discuss flipping, and specifically in Utah, there's general contractors pages, and you can ask for references for general contractors, and you'll get a ton of people commenting, and then you can pick whoever has the most and then interview them. And there's a lot of helpful ways to find good general contractors. So, but those are the two that I would recommend is once you find one, and there's many ways to find one, go through their references and call, and or go ask if you can see their jobs. Go visit their job sites. Ask how long they're taking. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. That was a great answer. But let's talk about that. How accurate have you seen, your bids from your general contractor coming in and saying, hey, we can do this project for $50K, and then halfway through the project, hey, we underbid it. We're going to need $70K.
Sure.
Is that a real thing to consider or to be worried about?
Yeah, it definitely happens, and it's happened to me before. We've gotten down to a group of solid general contractors that we trust, and for the most part, they stay on budget. If there's something there's always stuff that you won't see that comes up, and we will discuss that as it comes up and decide how we want to split it. If we do split it, we almost always split the cost of that. But yeah, I think staying on budget is something that you definitely have to ask their references and see if they have stayed on budget. But as far as our current general contractors, they do stay on budget for the most part. I can't think of when he's asked me for more money that it wasn't my fault in recent memory. And that just has to, that's part of finding a good general contractor. So I've had people in the past that have asked me for $10,000 once the job was over, and that doesn't fly either. So,
of course. And then you mentioned something else, and this has to do, flipping is a whole conglomerate of things. Like if there's a lot of things that line up, and if one of the dominoes falls out, then it could kill the deal, right?
Sure. So
part of it is the time frame, because hard money is expensive.
Sure. So
how often are you seeing that they stick to their timeline?
Ours are very good. I set deadlines, and then I also have a conservative deadline that I need to meet. So I'll set a deadline with my general contractor that's maybe 2 weeks before we have to be done, just in case that something does come up that we weren't expecting. And then I just make sure that we're on schedule the entire time. I ask him okay, what's the next thing that we need to do? Electrical, plumbing. Okay, how long is that going to take? When are we going to be done with that? And then I keep him accountable and make sure that he gets it done. So
Great. Great. And again, and going back to it's all a process. In terms of what is the time that you're typically allotting yourself for a typical flip? And I guess flips can be, right? It can be in and out, paint, carpet. You know, let's do something quick and be done with it. And they can be, you know, from the studs. Yeah, to take everything to the studs and totally rebuild everything. But on average, what would you say a typical flip time is?
I think probably for us, we're a lot quicker. Like I said, I am a general contractor, so I feel like we move quite a bit faster than other people, but generally our flips take 1 to 2 months. The longest flips that I've done have been 3 months, but we generally aim to purchase deals that are going to be a quick turnaround. That means there's not a lot of rehab needed. There's not a lot of, if there is a significant amount of rehab that will go into it, it's mainly cosmetic. And that way we don't find as many surprises and we're quicker at turning them around. And I think that's a good rule of thumb when you're buying your first property. You'll find a lot of deals that are really, really bad condition, like these monster houses that you see on HGTV that are just horrific, and steer clear of those because you can lose a lot of money doing those.
Yeah.
So
can you make a lot of money doing those?
You can make a lot of money doing those. I don't, it's not for me.
Yeah. And I think it's not for me is a very important distinction when you are talking about flips, because there's certain folks that say, you know, send me anything, send me everything. I want to see everything. And that's where I always ask as folks are like, hey, I'm wanting to get into the flipping game. I'm wanting to this, I'm wanting to that. I said, great. Well, what's the criteria that you're looking for? I don't know. Just send it my way and I'll know if it's a deal or not.
Yeah.
Well, that's where on the person who's looking for deals, I say I almost can't help at that point. It's like, I'm not just going to waste all my time sending you all this garbage because I don't know what you qualify as a good deal or what you don't think is a good deal. And I'm also very, very picky on, hey, you know, whatever I bring you, I want to be pretty sure that it's going to meet your criteria or that it has, or it's at least within the ballpark, right? So I'd say that's the biggest thing that I could share with anyone who wants to flip is hone in really, really deep on what the criteria is that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And then don't stray away from it until you have a few under your belt where you've done that and met that criteria. Afterwards, if you want to start branching out and doing other things, then cheers, awesome.
Sure.
But until you have that down, then don't waste your time looking at anything else.
Yeah, I would completely agree. We do stay in a pretty, I mean, we don't go above a certain dollar range, and we also don't go below a certain dollar range. And then on top of that, we like to stay in certain areas of the state. And I feel like it's good for beginners to do that, just because you get to know those specific markets very, very well. And you can make a lot of money in those specific markets. There's houses to flip everywhere. And I would rather be really good at flipping homes in a smaller area than flipping homes all over the United States and just kind of have a general idea of what I'm doing. So
great. And again, and I know I've gone off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I think it's important. In terms of criteria and in terms of how folks invest and how folks decide to flip, you're right. Some folks are like, you know, if I'm making 4 or 5% a deal, then all I care about is volume, and I'm fine with losing some along the way. And I know you're a little bit more picky and you won't pick up as many, but you have a higher profit margin on them. So it's, at least in my opinion, that's the direction I would go if I were doing it, is you just take care of the ones you'd have, make sure they all work, and then you end up spending less time having to babysit a bunch of people and having to babysit a bunch of deals.
Sure.
What do you think the pros and cons are with the way you're doing it? as opposed to, go volume and go hard?
Yeah, I think we lose out on a lot of deals that we might have gotten if we were willing to go up in price and take a hit on our profits. It's definitely harder to find deals that meet our criteria, and we don't do as many flips as a lot of people. But when we do flip homes, we make more money, like we talked about, which is a pro. But I would say the number one con is losing out on a lot of deals. If you're planning on finding these whale deals that you're going to make a lot of money on, you're going to spend a lot of time losing out on offers. So
great.
That's not what your agent wants to hear, but
no, I'm all for it though. The thing is, I don't
Sure.
want to be on the other side of, hey, we bought this deal and we just don't have enough money to make anything
Sure.
work, and now we're in a terrible situation, and it's thanks to you.
Yep.
And then, I mean, I always want to be on the side of, hey, I'm providing a lot more value, and then I'm receiving, right?
Sure.
So hopefully I'm on that side, and that's what we're going for. Which again, I guess a quick follow-up question with that is, how is it that you guys do find deals?
There's a couple different ways that we find deals. Mostly our deals have been found by other agents, and it's just from us posting on social media. Some of our best deals that we've found have been from people that have seen us post on social media and said, hey, I've got a house that I'm about to list. It's a wreck. Will you come take a look at it, see if it's something you can buy? Or, hey, my neighbor has a house that they want to sell. It's a problem property. They just inherited it. But yeah, I think the best way that we've found good deals, and the majority of our deals have come just from us talking about real estate. And you would be surprised how many people will bring you deals if they know that you're doing deals and you're willing to do deals and you have the resources to buy. So people are always buying and selling homes.
100%. 100%. I mean, you gave a lot of good nuggets out there, and the main one is let folks know that you are investing.
Yeah.
And part of that, I think, as well is, and part of your story is you went, and when you were still a general contractor and doing that mostly, you went and started working for a company that did flips,
Yep.
right? So for just your average person looking to get started in flipping, what do you think some of the best, maybe start here, maybe start here, maybe start here? What do you think some of those best places to start for them are? Just going in and taking on a big project? Or are there a couple of baby steps that they could do to, I guess, dip their foot in the water?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that you can do. There's a lot of great content out there on YouTube as far as watching other people flip homes. You can go to the local RIA meetups. That's a great place to meet people that are doing deals. You can shadow people on deals that they're doing. I would always advise people to try to add value. So if you can find some deals yourself and then partner with somebody like Terry or I on getting the deal across the finish line, then that's a great way for you to learn how to do the deal, the entire process, and still make some money in the process. But as far as like finding deals or getting your feet wet, you can go knock doors and ask people if they want to sell their home. Go knock houses that have dilapidated roofs. They've got landscape that's overgrown. Just houses that look like they need to be fixed up. And then you can ask them if they want to sell. And then you can message Terry or I and you can say, hey, I've got someone who wants to sell their home. Will you come take a look at it? And we can walk you through the process of acquiring the home and hopefully flipping it and then getting it sold.
And if someone wanted to just find the deal and then shadow, say, you throughout the process, what would you say, let's just throw out some real quick numbers, and for some folks this will make sense, for others it won't. So sorry. But say, $300,000 house, $500,000 ARV, I don't know, say 110 in repairs. You know, for someone to find that deal for you, is there a certain referral fee-ish that you think you'd pay out for someone who wanted to JV that with his joint venture it? So, right, they're finding the deal and shadowing you out throughout the process. I mean, is there a certain number that's typical within this industry for a referral fee on something like that?
Yeah, depending on the deal, we are more than happy to pay out a couple $1,000s, up to potentially $10,000 or more, depending on how good the deal is. But I think a couple $1,000s is generally more than fair for someone that brings me a deal that hasn't gotten it under contract or isn't really sure how to talk to the seller, isn't sure how to get it under contract, and then walk it to the finish line. If they can get me in front of a deal, I'm always happy to throw them a couple $1,000. So.
Yeah. Which honestly, I think if someone's looking to start, that's probably your best way to start is look for these deals, bring it to someone who knows what they're doing. And then I'm sure if you bring it to them, then they're much more inclined to walk you through the whole process on how it works. You do that a couple of times and you've made some money, but without having to risk anything but your own time, you have a decent start and a decent idea. And one thing is, watching your YouTubers and your HGTV and
Sure.
frankly, a lot of crap where I scratch my head how anyone makes any money other than HGTV on that. But ultimately, I think that's probably one of the best ways for folks to get your foot wet and get to know the industry. And then before you've had to invest $500,000, you already know, hey, this is something that might work for me, or hey, after seeing this whole thing, not my cup of tea. I would rather do XYZ investments. I lean more toward buy and hold.
Yeah.
I don't like babysitting people as a general rule. So that's more or less the direction that I've chosen to invest. But if someone does like that, I think that is a good way to start. Now let's talk about the finish line, right? We've talked about a little bit about what's the overall process, how do you find a deal, what qualifies for a good deal, how do you oversee contractors, and at this point we're at the tail end. When you're selling the property, now that you've already you've already fixed it up and ready to flip it,
Sure.
what does that process look like?
So once all of our renovations are done, we always stage our home. It helps the home sell faster and for more money. And then we also have them professionally photographed, which helps a ton. I see a lot of listings on the MLS that are taken on cell phones, and it's pretty scary that agents and people are willing to do that, but some people are okay doing that. And we are not. We're proud of our product and we want it to show as well as it can. And then we find an agent such as yourself, and we turn the house over to you and we let you do your thing, and then we get hopefully a fat paycheck at the end. But as far as the process on the back end, we just stage it, photograph it, get you the pictures, and then let you take over from there.
Cool.
So.
And then obviously we need to do our job and make sure we actually, find buyers and put the deal together. And ultimately, I think whenever you're looking for an agent, regardless if it's me or anyone else, I believe what you're looking for when you're flipping a house is an agent that knows what's most important, right? One of the most important things is, hey, we're not going to have to come in and redo a bunch of repairs. They're going to come in with their inspection and they're going to want to, beat them up on that because it takes up one time, two, it takes up more resources. And you really just want to make it as clean and simple as possible to go to the finish line. The other thing is speed is huge. Hard money is very expensive, and, maybe in some house where they've got a mortgage on it, if they have to make an extra payment, it's no problem. But if you have to pay another 12%, that cuts away an extra month, cuts away 1% of your 10%, which is 10% of your whole profit.
Yeah.
So making sure that gets done correctly, I think, is very important. So regardless of who you end up working with, just make sure it gets done quickly and that you're negotiating correctly.
Yeah. I would also add a couple things that I learned from you on the last flip that we did are to, as well as getting it done quickly is having some patience, getting as many offers together as you can as quickly as you can, and then selecting the best offer. Sometimes the offer that looks like the best offer isn't always the best offer. And it does help having an agent that understands flipping to kind of navigate you through the offer acceptance process. On the last home that we flipped, I was ready to accept an offer the day after I listed it, I believe. And Terry made us wait until the open house. And at the open house, we received 2 cash offers that were over asking. And if I would have been quick and eager, and I feel like a lot of agents do push you to accept, if we would have accepted, then we would have missed out on those 2 huge cash offers. And it would have been a big bummer because the one we accepted was a very, very smooth closing. So,
Yeah, it worked out perfectly. Out of state buyer, cash well above asking price.
12,000 over asking.
Yeah, and it wouldn't have appraised. We were already at the top end of where it would have appraised. So it was a very good offer, and it worked out well. Cheers to me. I'm just kidding. But anyway, no, that all helps. Here's my last question: is when now that you've received your funds, what does that mean in terms of your tax implications as a general rule? I know there's some exceptions of different things you can do, but just as a general rule, what does that income look like?
Yeah, so I'm not an accountant, but in general, you are going to be paying capital gains tax, which eats up a lot of your profit very, very quickly, between 20 to 30%. So it's a lot of money. And there's a couple different things that you can do. Once again, I'm not an accountant, but one thing that we did on our last flip is a 1031 exchange, and we are rolling the funds into a different property to basically pay our taxes later and make some cash flow and gain some appreciation off of this property while we wait. So, yeah.
And do most folks, because there's a couple of different ways. From my understanding, again, I'm not an accountant. I don't pretend to be one. But do you see most folks do it as a 1031 exchange? Do you see most folks funnel it and say, hey, it's a business and this is just a business, and just as regular income, 1099 structure? Do you see anyone set it up that way?
You'll have to talk to your accountant as far as like the best thing for you to do. But we basically have a holdings company that receives the money, and then we pay out ourselves. Basically, we have S-corps that we pay out, and then our S-corps pay us with a W-2. And that's how we do it, and that way we're not taxed nearly as high as if we were to just take it as a capital gains. So.
Yeah, which is good to know. And I'm not saying, hey, guys, here's your structure, here's what you need to do.
We're not a way to do it.
Yeah, we're not giving any advice there. My underlying point is, even after you make all that money, if you have the really small margins, you can walk away thinking, cheers, I made 20 grand on this bad boy. And then, if half that goes to Uncle Sam, then, was it really a good deal or not? I've seen a couple, and I just chuckle at these ones. I chuckle at them because I only chuckle when I told them not to do it, and they did it anyway. And they came back and said, well, you were wrong. I made all this money. And then after I sat down and analyzed, hey, well, how much time did you dedicate to it? What's this? What's that? How much money did you keep? What are your overall expenses? And once we dived super deep into that, the guy on this flip made like $12 an hour. Which if you're making $12 an hour when you have that high of risk, I think you need to reevaluate and find another way to make money if that's all you're going to do, flipping houses. So
yeah.
Anyways, a general rule, I think how I want to just put this all together is make sure you know your numbers, that you're diving deep on those. and that you do your homework before you pull the trigger on anything. Is there money that can be made flipping? Definitely. But make sure you're doing it in a smart way. Do you have any closing remarks or anything else you'd like to share in terms of maybe some tips that you've learned in your experience flipping?
No, I think we went over the best tip that I learned. Find a mentor, find somebody to shadow, bring them a deal, and then let them teach you. But you have to bring some value, because I have a lot of people message me asking me to help them find flips, help them flip homes. And for a while, I tried to take people out to lunch, show them what to do, and very, very few have ever taken action and done anything. So at this point, I'm always happy to help where I can, but for the most part, real estate investors are very busy and already have a lot on their plate, a lot of stress dealing with these flips. So the best way that you can learn is to bring them a deal or bring some type of value to them. But I think finding a mentor is the best tip I can give.
Yeah, so finding a mentor that you can add value to them, and then
Yep.
have some reciprocity there.
Yep.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. Well, thank you so much, Alec, for coming in and diving deep onto flips. I'm excited for a couple of the projects that we have in the works, and I'll keep you guys posted as those come, as they come to pass. But the reason I chuckle a little bit is because Alec touched on it at the end. This field isn't nice and easy and flowers all the time. There are some big paychecks sometimes at the end, but it's a lot of stress. It's managing. On the one I'm thinking of, I think we're both chuckling about that. Maybe you're not. Maybe I'm chuckling more than you are. But there's a lot of different moving parts, a lot of different people, a lot of different people's emotions that you have to be juggling to get the deal to work. And hopefully we'll be chuckling all at the end. But until the deal's done, it's not done. So there's again lots of pieces, lots of fun, lots of stress. Be ready for it. This isn't to discourage anyone, but it's just to create a right expectation. And again, I think to echo, if you want to get it started, make sure you dip your foot in the water before you take out a $500,000 loan. But again, thanks so much, Alec. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you guys ever have any questions, I'm always happy to chat, whether it's through your DMs or messages or whatever works best for you. Always happy to chat. Thanks so much.